Hey everyone, Dave here at bluebearsgames, and this week we are doing our third unboxing of the 2020, I guess 2021, or Strixhaven Commander unboxings, the Commander decks. This week we're going to do the Witherbloom Witchcraft, which is the black-green Commander box. I'm going to just go ahead and dive right in so we can get this video to be as short as possible. Alright, so let's open her up. Let's see, and like last time, that's pretty cool. Got a couple of the cutouts and all that stuff. We got them all over the place now. Here's what the box looks like. Apparently that's the symbol for Witherbloom. And we're gonna open this up and get everything out so we can show you the insert with the Witherbloom, and shows you what's inside. Starts at 40, blah blah blah. Here's what the life counter looks like with the Witherbloom symbol on it. Again, goes to 40. I know people complained it only went to 40, but I mean that is the starting life total for Commander, so this one's a little tight. It's actually a lot tight. Alright, so there's that. And here's the deck, and we're going to open that up. Let me put this stuff to the side, and we're going to open up, and we're going to go over what's on it, or what's in it. And again, like last time, I'm going to just go ahead and rifle through them. If you want to take a look at something specific, after I'm done reading the initial Commander, you can go ahead and pause the video and read it, or I'll try and find links to the actual decks and put them in the description. So this one is supposed to be Willow Dusk Essence Seer, 1 black, 1 green, 1 of any, 3/3, Legendary Dryad Druid. 1 tap, choose another target creature, put a number of +1/+1 counters on it, equal to the amount of life you've gained this turn, or the amount of life you've lost this turn, whichever is greater, and you can only activate it as a sorcery. That's the suggested commander. And the secondary commander that they give you in foil is Guillaume, Master Chef, and this is a little destroyed right out of the box, it looks like. I don't know if you can see any of that, but no, doesn't look like showing in the video, but I can see it here. There's a scuff marker too. 1 black, 1 green, 2 of any for a 5/3 Troll Warlock. Has trample, and at the beginning of your... I'm sorry, I can't read it because it's fucking reflecting. At the beginning of your end step, create a number of food tokens equal to the number of non-token creatures you had enter the battlefield under your control this turn, and then you can pay 1 and sacrifice a food. Target creature gains indestructible until end of turn, and you can tap it. So, those are the 2 suggesteds. I have a different theory, and I'll go over that later. So let's go and see what's inside the box. Start off with an Honor Troll, Dina Soul Steeper, and we'll go into her a lot later. Mortality Spear, the Witherbloom Campus. I like the fact that they scry. That's nice. Study Hall, Ancient Craving, Bloodthirsty Aerialist, Epicure of Blood, Feed the Swarm. Obviously, they're going to push that a lot more because it's the black destroy an enchantment spell. Greed, Reckless Spite, Silver Smoke Ghoul, Suffer the Past, Vampire Nighthawk, Cultivate, Gift of Paradise, Pulse of Murasa, Rampant Growth, Leyline Prowler, Moldervine Reclamation, an Arcane Signet. Awesome inclusion is an Elixir of Immortality. It probably is a really good deck for any deck. Paradise Plume, Pristine Talisman, and a Soul Ring. A Sun Droplet, Talisman of Pestilence, which I don't think I actually own any of these, even though I had the Modern Horizon stuff. Blighted Woodland, actually a good include. Blight Mound, Essence Pulse, Marshland Bloodcaster, Tivash Gloom Summoner, Vainwitch Coven, Blossoming Bog Beast, Root Channeler, Healing Technique, Pest Infestation, Sproutback Trudge, Trudge Garden, so they got the pair of trudges in here. Eudora Grave Gardener, and let me check something here. Okay. Revival Experiment, Witch's Clinic. Of course, of all the things they created for all the decks, I think that this is the only one that includes its own land that fits the deck. I was kind of, it's kind of shitty that they did that. They could have made one for each deck. Blood Tracker, Damnable Pact, Deadly Tempest, Defiant Bloodlord, Noxious Gearhulk, Obnixilis Reignited, Sangromancer, Sanguine Bond, naturally, Taste of Death, Ageless Entity, this is Renewal, Verdant Sun's Avatar, Gaze of Granite, Gluttonous Troll, Sapling of Kulfener, Alhammert's Archive, a Druidic Satchel, Loxodon Warhammer, Avenger's Journal, a Well of Lost Dreams, a Foul Orchard, like every deck now, a High Market, huh? Interesting. Alright. Atlanta War Wastes, and a Temple of Malady. Let me get the rest of them. Command Tower, Gingerbread Cabin, Golgari Rot Farm, Jungle Hollow, Myriad Landscape, Radiant Fountain, and a Rogue's Passage. Sap Seep Farce, and I have a comment about this later on. I'm a little upset that this is the only one that was printed. As far as the lands that are land types, single color, and have an ability. There was a cycle of these, and they only did that one. Tainted Wood, always put a Tainted in a black deck. It's no reason not to. Temple of the False God, and then I believe it's all forests and swamps after that. And then the really thick version of the commander card. And we'll put that aside. And then food tokens, demon tokens, trash, fungus beasts, sapperlings, pests. Gotta keep those pests in here. And I'll go over that in a second. I'm really keeping those in here. So that's what's inside the actual box. That's the actual deck included, plus all the contents inside. So now we're going to go over my favorite section, which is my suggestions for upgrades for this deck. And these are just suggestions. That doesn't mean that these are the end-all, be-all. These are just how I would do it. Okay? So we're going to start that section. 1 second. Alright, so what we're going to do, as I always do, is go over the lands first, and we'll go from there. So, as far as land suggestions for upgrades go, I always start off with the holy trinity of lands for dual colors. We got Bayou, which is the OG dual land. The Overgrown Tomb, which is the shock land. And we got Verdant Catacombs, which is the fetch land. Going down further on the list, we have a Woodland Cemetery, which is the check land. Twilight Mire, which is the filter land. And then we have an Undergrowth Stadium, which is the bond land. If you're getting desperate or you want to go budget, you can go to Pathway, which for black-green is Dark Boar and Slither Boar Pathway. Nurturing Peatland, which is the land that sacks to draw a card. and Nether Blossom Snarl, which comes into play tapped unless you reveal either a swamp or a forest in this case. Those are the budget options, those last three for dual color. If you wanted to go really expensive and really buff up this deck, we're going to go with a Gaia's Cradle, a Cabal Coffers, and an Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth. Some utility lands for this deck would be Grim Backwoods, Castle Locktwain, and then what I was mad about was that the green land was made, but Leech Ridden Swamp, which should have been printed for this deck because it's just an automatic deal of damage or make somebody lose a life. I think that should have been put in here instead. I'm mad that they didn't even put that in any of the decks. I want one for myself. That's probably why I'm mad. And then you can do a Phyrexian Tower for the sack ability or Volrash Stronghold for the ability to bring something back from the grave. One thing I want to mention. So this is the commander here, right? And this is the one that they suggest. But I actually think that my first choice, besides the lands, would be to change out the commander to Dina. Because Dina fits into a theme of aristocrats really well. And this deck can lend itself, especially in the color scheme of black-green, that Dina should have been all along an aristocrat style. Should have been the main focus for this. I don't know why they didn't do that. I think they just wanted to print a new card that had an idea. But if it was me, I would go Dina the Soul Reaper. It was like the third card revealed in the box. And you know what? Why do that? I'll just show you. I believe Dina should have been the commander all along. I mean, her ability is she's 2 to cast, so she's cheap. She's a 1/3, so she has a big ass. And her ability is whenever you gain life, each opponent loses life. And this deck is going to be able to do that. And with an aristocrat style deck, it'll do that too. Then she has a built-in sacrifice, so you can sacrifice another creature. Dina gets +X+0 into end of turn, where X is a sacrifice creature's power. So she has a built-in ability to sack as well. So I think that Dina should be, and I'm going to leave that there for a little bit. That should have been the commander for all along. Anyway, so I got that out of the way. The ramp section, it's kind of similar to the Quantum Quandrix one I did earlier, that I did last week, for the most part anyway. It's in green, so you've got a plethora of choices. So we're going to go with 3 visits, Nature's Lure, and Spoils of Victory. They're the best options that I can find. Next, you're going to go Farseek, Far Wanderings, and then because of the plethora of options for lands that you would love to get out immediately, I would go with a Sylvan Scrying, because you have the Gaia's Cradle, the Coffers, the Cabal Coffers, the Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth, because you want to be able to fit those pieces in when you need them. So, like, especially if you have either or of the Cabal Coffers or the Urborg out, you can get the other piece and then create a ton of mana. So, a couple of the options for Artifact Ramp or Mana Rocks. I always have my Holy Trinity of Mana Rocks for upgrading. They're expensive, and I think they're the best options for right now anyway. Jeweled Lotus, Mox Diamond, and Mana Crypt. they accelerate you way faster than almost any of the others. Some of the other options for the Moxes, like the Chrome Mox, have the downfall of having to get rid of something in your hand. And while I understand that the Mox Diamond does that too, it discards it to your graveyard. It doesn't exile it. And it's a land, and you can choose a basic land, so it doesn't matter as much because you have more of them. In a singleton format, Chrome Mox can hurt you, so just keep that in mind. If you want to go on the somewhat cheaper side, I also would suggest a Thought Vessel, a Fractured Power Stone, or a Felwar Stone. And the Felwar Stone, I actually am starting to realize I can suggest that for almost any deck going forward, just because in a pot of 4, most likely the colors you're playing, somebody else is going to be playing. So Felwar Stone as a 2 to cast mana rock that doesn't come into play taps could actually be way better for Commander than even I originally realized. So those are just a couple of the ramp suggestions. As far as creatures go, I'm going to go with the idea that Dina would be the Commander. I don't really like the other 2 options. So we're going to go with Aristocrats. I'm going to build this as a double theme of an Aristocrats Pest theme. I like the Pest theme. When I saw them, I kind of liked the idea of them. So I'm going to do that as my suggestions. So, in the Aristocrats fashion, we're going to go with Ayara, the First of Locktwain, obviously Blood Artist, and then Bantu Glorified acts as both a sacrifice outlet and an aristocrat style ability rolled into one, and it's cheap, not monetarily, but mana wise, it's cheap. Continuing with the aristocrats theme, we're gonna go with Falkenrath Noble, Vito, Thorn of Dusk Rose, and Zolaport Cutthroat. Also good options. For the pest theme, I would add something like Belladrost, Witherbloom, obviously, Callus, Blood Mage, and Professor of Zoomancy. And Professor of Zoomancy is just a great picture to me. I'm a bear fan, so it's just a great card to me altogether. Continuing in that fashion for the pest theme, I would go with Sedgemoor Witch, Valentin, Dean of Vane, and then for fun, I would add in Blex the Vesting Pest. Aside from just being fun, he's a pest himself, and also his second side, the reverse side of him, is actually an ability that you can use in a deck like this. So, and there are so many options that you can go with. So I would start looking up, if I were you, if you want to go in this route. There are other options that are aristocrat style that do 1 damage, or I'm sorry, make your opponents lose a life, you gain a life style creatures out there. I have not listed them all. There are some already in the box. There are some that I mentioned, and then there are some other ones that I just didn't mention it because that's just a lot to mention. So use MTG Familiar, use the Gather, whatever you use. Type in what their ability is lose life, gain life, creature dies. And it'll come up, it'll bring all the creatures that can do that. And you can go ahead and add them in there as you please. Alright, and now as far as the spells go, in the the black-green, I'm going to keep with the pest theme here. There's Tend the Pests, Containment Breach, and Hunt for Specimens, all great additions to add to here. Pest Summoning also adds to the pest theme. Then you also have some defensive spells and Damnation because you're in black, and Toxic Deluge helps you get rid of your own guys for aristocrats to go off if you'd like. Because Dina has a 3 toughness, I would suggest, that would go for 1 or 2 so you can kill all of your guys, and then you could gain all the life and do all the damage. And we're also in black. So, black's best ability, Tutors. Demonic Tutor, Vampiric Tutor, Grim Tutor. There are others. Whatever you have, whatever you like, however you like to play, you can choose any of them, but those are the 3 I suggest. Alright. Next section, not a very heavy section, is the artifact section. So I would go with, because it's a little bit of ramp, it's a little bit of life gain, which is what you want in this deck, the Great Henge. With all that life gain, you want to try Bolas's Citadel, so you can cast things off the top of your library, pay life instead of mana, and because you're gaining life in this deck, because when pests die, they give you a life, Bolas's Citadel works here. And then, as a sack outlet, Ashnod's Altar, and we'll get into Ashnod's Altar at the end of the video, because there's a combo that I like to use with that as well. Bantu's Monument is a great addition. Helps you whenever you cast something, a creature. I believe it's any creature. Each opponent loses life, you gain a life. So again, more aristocrats. Skull Clamp, so that you have a sack outlet for your little 1/1s, and you get a bonus of drawing 2 cards from it. And Pestilent Cauldron can help the deck in a lot of ways. So those are the few little artifacts that I would add as upgrades. Enchantments, we're gonna go with. Here's the Life Drain. It fits aristocrats very well. We already have the Sanguine Bond, so what's the harm in adding Exquisite Blood for that 2-part combo that everybody hates? It's old as dirt, but it works, so why not add it? You have Retreat to Hagra, because whenever you play land, you make each opponent lose life, you gain a life. And Bastion of Remembrance is just an enchantment version of an aristocrat-style creature. Cryptolith Rite, because if you have all those tokens out in play, you can tap them to add mana, so you have mana ramp there. Growing Rites of Itlimoc, because why wouldn't you? Why would you not want something that helps you find creatures that you can put more stuff into play, can help you with aristocrats, and then, oh, by the way, it turns into a Gaia's Cradle. And Vampiric Rites, because it helps you sacrifice creatures, because you need sack outlets. It lets you gain a life, and it lets you draw a card, so it's actually a little bit of a lot of things. In black, we have, actually in both colors, we have some pretty good card draw options. We're not in blue, so we're not going to use spells. We're going to use enchantments here. You have Necropotence, because you're gaining life, so why not? Phyrexian Arena, same reason. And then Death Reap Ritual, because things are going to be dying, so you can draw cards off of them. On top of that, In the green section, you have Guardian Projects. So for every time you cast a non-token creature that you don't already own on the field or in your graveyard, which we're in Commander, you're not going to, you can draw a card. And then there's the very old, one of my favorite combos I've played this combo for many years, Sylvan Library and Abundance. So you can choose how to get cards in your hands by choosing land or non-land. The replacement effect of Abundance makes it so that you don't have to pay the life to put them back from Sylvan Library, so you get 3 cards chosen at land and non-land. If you don't know about that combo, message me, I'll give you some more explanation. And then you have enchantments in green and black that also give you free tokens every turn. You have Awakening Zone, From Beyond, and the cheeky little one is Bitter Blossom, because that just keeps churning out 1/1 flyers, so you can actually do a go wide theme with those. So there are a lot of choices here. Go to the MTG Familiar app, and you can look up all the things that do that. You can also look up. I didn't want to throw these out there, but there are a lot of token doublers in Magic for green, so you can look those up as well. I don't want to mention them. It depends on how you build it. I do enough when it comes to tokens. I didn't want to go that route. This deck does benefit from them, so I didn't want to mention them, but I do have to at least say something about them. So those are the enchantments that I would add. Planeswalkers. So there's a couple of them that really benefit this deck. First couple I'm going to go over. Vraska, Golgari Queen, Professor Onyx, and Liliana Dreadhorde General. They do the following things. They add tokens onto the board. They protect you. They protect the planeswalkers with the tokens. They either sacrifice or they do something that helps a deck like this out. Okay? Specifically Professor Onyx. I know it's newer, but it looks like that's going to be one of the bigger helps. You also have things like Frailest Land Over Fury, Garruk Wildspeaker, or Garruk Primal Hunter, because again, they create tokens. They make your creatures bigger, so if you wanted to do the go wide theme, you could go that way as well. Then you have Nissa, Voice of Zendikar, Sorin Markov, and then one card that I think that this may be the best option for this deck is Obnixilis of the Black Rose, I believe it's called. I don't know. It's Obnixilis of the Black something. I can't remember. Black Hope. That's it. Black Hope. Obnixilis of the Black Hope itself, it's an engine in itself for this deck. The only downfall is it only comes into play with 3 counters. It's great for everything. That's the only downfall. But in my eyes, that's the best. And then one last Planeswalker that I have here that I would add. You can't add it to a lot of things because while there are some black-green elf decks out there, it's not a main focus for elves. Usually they go mono-green or green-red. Or the niche of black-green elves is small. But Tyvar Kell can actually benefit this deck because it creates tokens, and it makes those tokens tap to add mana, so it ramps you, and it creates tokens that you can sacrifice for the Aristocrat style. Not many decks can benefit from Tyvar Kell. This one can. Of course, there's black-green or Golgari or Witherbloom, I guess this is called, elves, but the truth of the matter is that that's not what you're using that for. You're not using it to create, because I was originally excited about Tyvar Kell being released because I misread it and thought that it created basically the same thing as Frailest does, which is elves that tap to add green, or Llanowar elves, but it doesn't. It just creates elves and they tap to add black, so that's why it can only go into certain decks. It cannot go into a mono green deck. It can't go into a red green deck. It can only go into a black green. So those are the walkers that I would add. So the win cons, I've actually mentioned most of them. All right, so I've already given you the Exquisite Blood and the Sanguine Bond combo, and I've given you all the ways that you can do it in Aristocrat style. But there are a couple other things. The go wide or token or whatever you want to call it has some options in the overrun area. So it's overrun, Finale of Devastation, and then the Craterhoof Behemoth. So if you wanted to, you could definitely benefit from beefing up all those tokens and then swarming your opponents. Not as much fun as Aristocrats, because that means you actually have to lose some stuff unwillingly. When you're attacking, you never know what shenanigans can happen. I'd rather just control it by doing it the way I want to do it, which is through Aristocrats. But there's one last way that you can do something. This is one of my favorite things. I do it for my Purphoros deck. It's really just an interesting way to do it. It's different, and people won't really see it coming. Spawn Sire of Ulamog. His ability is for 4, create 2/0/1 Eldrazi. I think they're Scion tokens. I forget which one they are. That they can tap, or I'm sorry, not tap. They can sacrifice to add a colorless. But if you add that with Ashnod's Altar, where if you create the 2 and sack the 2 to create 4 mana and create 2 more, well, guess what you got there? You've got infinite enter the battlefield and infinite die triggers for your aristocrat stuff. Now, I'll add this to it, and I forgot about this. But if you also have out the, Cryptolith Rite, you can create them, tap them for colored mana, sack them for 2 colorless each, and now you've got infinite mana as well. So then you can add in a Torment of Hellfire if you want. A Drain Life if you want. Anything that's close to that. Whatever you want to do. So, those are some of the ways that you can win with a deck like this. And again, I switched out. I'm sorry, I had to. Dina is a much better commander to me than this guy here. What's his name? Willow Dusk Essence Seer. This is the original. I would change it out. That's just my opinion. I wanted to go full aristocrats because these colors and the way this deck can work definitely lends itself to that. So, anyway, that's my upgrade guide to what deck is this again? Because I changed it out to Dina. The Witherbloom Witchcraft deck. Any questions, comments, concerns, suggestions, go ahead and just send me a message through the Facebook page. Put a comment on this video itself. Or email me, bluebearsgames@gmail.com, and we can go over anything you want. Hopefully you enjoyed what I did. Hopefully you got something out of it. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share. Liking the video helps other people see it. Apparently that fits into their analytics. I don't know how it works, but the more likes, please do. It doesn't cost you anything. It's free, and it doesn't really do anything to hurt you. So please like it. Subscribe to the channel. As of this video, I'm at 295. I would love to get to 300 to give away one of the codes. And remember, I'm still giving away something at 500 subs. It's a free deck. So go to the, what video is it? The explanation video for my Blues Budget Battle Brews if you want to take a look at what that's all about. Anyway, that's my time for the week. Thank you for watching. Again, please remember to like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. I will see you guys next week. Stay safe, and I will see you all then.